G'day, I'm Dan.
And I'm Christy, and we call Canberra our home.
We work, we parent, contribute to our community, living the Australian suburban dream.
With 4 kids, a dog, 2 businesses, large extended family, friends scattered all over the globe, we struggle at times.
But we do it all by embracing the crazy. And this helps us laugh, smile, cry, and brings meaning to our lives.
So join us and share the journey of our modern Australian family madness and embrace the crazy. Hi guys.
G'day.
Today we're talking about creativity and learning in our household. This is Dan's love.
I am already excited.
Ridiculous.
I just love this subject. I love it. It's kind of what we're all about, isn't it? Like I think about what we do in our work, who we are. Creativity and learning. It's like my passion.
Creativity is a big thing for you. It's a really hard thing for me, though. I feel like I'm not creative at all, but I think there's more than one way to be creative.
Big time.
Yeah.
And today we're kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about how do we apply creativity in our house. So some of the activities that we do day to day to really encourage different thinking and different ways of working.
Yeah.
We also wanted to touch on why it's so important and how it often plays out in our house, because there's a reality and an idea that you have in your head of, oh, this is such a great thing, it'll bring everyone together, and there's a reality of how it actually comes.
Yeah.
And then maybe the fun of it, the laughing, and also the discomfort of it and how that's really good for us and who we are and developing each one of us.
Definitely. So what do we do, Dan, to drive creativity in our house?
Maybe we start with why it's important. I think that's a part for me that, it gives great base for what we're going to talk about. So for me, I think it's so important to have individuals and it's so important to be yourself. And it's so hard to do that. And I think back to when I was at school, that was really hard for me. And it's taken me a long while to feel confident about coming up with my own ideas and being my own person and being who I want to be. And I think for our kids, if I was to say, what's the one thing that you want out of everything is for them to be themselves and be who they want to be. And at the same time, to really push them and really challenge them to be everything that they want to be and everything they can be. Right. And that's probably a long way of saying, I think creativity has such a huge part to play in it because it builds up your confidence and it builds up your ability to back yourself and come up with things that are different, come up with things that people are going to not agree with. And that to me is one of the great ideas of creativity. It's not the only thing, I get it. I really get that. But for me, it's such a huge part of who I am. And it's a huge part that I think all of our kids are. And I think everyone is. And it's not about being the best painter or the best actor or anything like that, right? So I want to call that out very clearly. It's not about that. It's about being ourselves.
Yeah. And I think it's about thinking in a way that is different to other people, different to other thoughts in your head, and actually being able to verbalize those thoughts. So yes, you can think this way, but what I'm picking up from you, Dan, is that maybe you always thought creatively, but you didn't really have a voice to that when you were younger at school, etc. So I wonder whether it's more of putting a voice and letting people hear your voice around your ideas, your thinking, your ways of working, because as you just mentioned, creativity for me, I think being creative is being an artist or being really, really able to style something really, really well. Whereas I think what we're talking about here is our ideas and thinking in ways that are different and thinking in ways that you see different points of view as well, and being able to see that and verbalize that.
Totally. And I think it's all. For me, it's all of those things you just talked about. It's not one or the other. It's kind of all of those things and bringing them all together. So lots of people are creative with spreadsheets and everyone will be like, well, that's pretty boring. That's following a standard line. But they're actually really creative. And they're really creative at that part. And I think, I think the beauty of my work is that you see this day to day all the time and you actually see the power of it so significantly. And so although we're not talking about this in a work context, I think it helps our kids so much with where they want to be in the future, because their lives are going to be so different to ours, and ideas are going to be the king. And we talk about this a lot now, ideas are the one and only.
Yeah.
But I guess in reality, it's not always like that.
No.
And, I think what we want to do is we really want to set them up to flourish in that environment and really see it as a challenge, and, it's exciting and fun, like how I see it, day to day.
Definitely.
All right, so let's talk about this. So what do we do? Well, I think maybe, I think you've got a bit of an idea of why we think it's important and why I care about this so much. But what do we do to create this innovation within our own home, in our own lives?
Well, one of my favorite things that we do, we haven't done it in a while actually, is give everyone a topic and they have to talk about it for a minute, standing on the coffee table. And you have to, okay, we're going to talk about red hats, and go. And they have to talk about it for a minute. You can't say and you can't say And I really struggle with that. I've stopped saying but I've replaced it with and one of our children is very much an or and an ara, and he really struggles with this this activity in particular. But this one is quick, on your feet. Let's talk about something that you might know a lot about, but you might not.
It's called presentations. And yes, that sounds weird. And yes, we do this at our home. Yes, we are strange. But I can't tell you how good it is. And I'll tell you why it's so good. Yes, you need to think of an idea quickly and you need to be able to talk about it. And talking for a minute is difficult for most, not for me, but difficult for lots of others. I could speak forever, of course. But what I love about it most is when you're standing up on our coffee table, which is how we do it, there's a lot of heckling. It's really hard. Like, you don't even start and someone's already at you going, well, where are you going to say anything? Are you going to start? Why are you coming up with an idea? Where are you? And it really rattles you. And I think it's such great character building for what things are like. If you're in a meeting or you're at a sport event or whatever, and you start talking, you already got people ready. They're ready to judge you and they're ready to challenge you. And it's building that resilience almost straight away.
Definitely.
And it is really hard. Some of the subjects we get that are really difficult, and then we've always got a player or two in the environment that are not really that interested in playing, which creates even more challenge to the conversation.
Definitely.
But I think it really tests us.
Yeah.
So presentations is a great one that I love. I really love the game where we go around the table or we go around person by person and come up with something. So it could be a subject.
Yeah.
It could be something in the alphabet that we need to follow around, and you go around one to one. You can't repeat it. I love that one because that really gets people thinking.
Yeah.
It really gets everyone involved.
Yes.
And again, it also gets you listening as well, which I like that as well. It's so much an important part about innovation and creativity is like listening and really reflecting and thinking.
Yeah. And one that your sister who came down with her family, they brought up that they got two little boys, and they brought up, would you rather? And would you rather have a troopy or a caravan?
You're using the real example.
I really am fully. That was exactly what our nephew
exactly
said. And and they didn't explain it at first, so then we had to backtrack a little bit and to get an understanding of that. So we got our nephews to explain to us what we were doing and what we had to do in the game, and everyone got a chance to speak up. Everyone got a chance to be the person who decided on what you were choosing between. So it gives you really, really good real life skills. There we go. I just said really good life skills to be able to speak in front of people, voice your opinions, have your voice heard, whatever you're thinking about, and also the little bit of, okay, well, this is why I would choose that. So that bit of understanding about why someone chose that. What are some of the other things?
Oh, I love the drawing game. That's one of my favorites. I think this brings in everything. It brings in, your creativity, your thinking, how you apply what you've thought about previously or what you've learned. I really love this. It's where you will say, hey, 4 people, I'm giving you each a topic or a subject, and you need to draw something. And there's someone in the other room, often Christy, that needs to guess what it is. And so you need to do it at speed. You need to come up with something that makes sense. And you need to be able to then relay it without any words.
No words. It has to be just in the drawing. And some of the
This is fantastic because you've got the people that'll draw it really fast and it'll be 2 lines. You've got the people who want to put all the detail in, and then you've got the people that'll be stressed out by the time frames. And so it's just such a great way of really getting so many of those challenges that we have in life every day all together. And it's fun. It's really fun.
It is. We do have a lot of fun. However, there is some members of our family who don't find it fun.
Oh, it's stressful.
And it's really stressful. And particularly our second boy, he doesn't enjoy these games at all.
Well, everyone enjoys it, but then as we were talking about before, there's a little bit of critiquing that goes along the way, and then mostly competition. I think unfortunately or fortunately with our family, everything becomes a very big competition. So the speed piece really gets that competition going.
It does.
And that often then leads down a pathway that can get to some tears or laughter or maybe both at the same time. But look, I know it sounds harsh and it probably sounds hard, but it's also, I really enjoy it because I think it's such like life. You'll be at work and you'll be given something to do with an unrealistic time frame. You've got to come up with something quickly. You've got to then be able to communicate it or show it. That's what we do a lot in our day-to-day lives. And so I think this is such a great example. And sometimes we've just got to phase out how many times we'll do this because it can then get deep after a while.
It cuts deep, cuts to the core. But also, we mentioned it before, the laughing, the crying, the discomfort of being in a situation in which you don't know what to do, or you don't know what to say, or you don't know how to react, or where you sit in that, or what even your ideas are about that subject. So sitting in that discomfort is really helpful, but also laughing about it and seeing that, okay, well, I did really, really badly, or I can't talk about red hats for a minute. I don't have enough to say. It's, but it's also all learning, right, Dan? It's all, we're teaching everybody in our family, even ourselves. We're both learning from these situations, aren't we? It's not just for the kids, it's for us as well. And I think particularly it's for Dan, because Dan really gets.
That's fun. Kind of it's just fun. It's really fun. I mean, I must remember you like red hats. We talked about that example about 5 times now. But so I will remember that. The last one I'm going to talk about is 2 parts. So we either do activity sheets, where at the end of the night, when I know they don't want to read whilst going to bed, or there's just some bit of unsettling, I'll just get them to bring me a piece of paper and I'll pull together 10, 20 questions, random questions, and I'll just let them go and figure it out. And I love doing that.
Yeah.
And the other version of that is I'll just go and sit with them and say, you got 5 questions tonight. Yeah. And I just go and start building out these questions for them. I also really like doing that, and it really settles them down a lot. I find it's almost a little bit relaxing, and I know it's something they have to do individually and they have to kind of do something. I like working on paper or something like that, and it sounds old school, but I like the fact of them being in their own world and producing something. I think it's important to do that. So I think they're my last 2
the favorite
examples, which I do love.
Just with the questions, give us an example of what a question that you would ask one of our children, or a couple of questions, so that people can see actually how crazy our life is.
Well, I mean, it can be anything. It can vary from maths questions. It can vary from animals. It can vary to sports. A lot of it's often sports, because we're, normally we might do these things on the weekends when I'm more around and sports happening. So, I'd like to do things like that. So I'll, name players or name the best combinations, scores. So it can be a bit of memory, a bit of creativity, but my favorite is always the best. What's your best something? So it could be, what's your best holiday? What's your best food? What's your favorite this or that? I really love things like that, because then I think it gets them all thinking. All right, what do I really care about? It also just helps you, like I learned the other day, one of our son's favorite foods, and it was different to what I thought. And he's just changed and evolved over time. I knew what it was previously, but it's changed. And I just like things like that because it creates a bit of a conversation as well.
Cool. Sounds good.
So yes, we're crazy.
Yes,
I know it's. I know I'm different, and I'm sorry. It's just how I am. It's really sad.
And you shouldn't have to apologize.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. There's people who are thinking out there. I know they're just thinking, is this really what they do in this house?
This is what they do.
This probably explains a lot.
No, it's good. I think it's really important to drive that creativity and drive that learning and those life lessons. It's not just about what's on paper, it's about life lessons and how to interact with people and do things that are hard. We can do hard things. So
absolutely. So if you've got any that we can learn from you, please let us know. I would love to hear of any new games, any games that work on the elements that we have and build and maybe make it, push it even further. So let us know.
Or just a new idea.
Absolutely.
We love
to hear it.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
See you later.
See you next time.